Hello and welcome to the Poison Paint Factory. My factory designated name is Poison226. Nice to meet you. Here we go. So this is painting the Joker. I've already primed him with my airbrush white because I want the colours to be bright. I'm going to try and paint him like the Joker from the Arkham Asylum games. And as you can see, I've really watered down the yellow because I wanted to try and sketch out where I was going to put the colours, and all the different details are very, very shallow. So that's why it's so thin. I don't keep going over and over with that same thinness of paint, but that's just to show what I was trying to figure out. I quite like that yellow, it works. Next, purple. I did the same, sketching out what I thought would be purple. I started with the yellow because it's in the middle of his chest and it's hard to get to after you've already painted the purple. Didn't want to make a mess of everything, and look, looks alright. Not too shabby. Next we're going to do the hair. So this is the mid-tone that I wanted to go for. I think I ended up sticking with this as the darkest tone for his hair, but it was intended to be the mid-tone. Nice bit of blur going on. And again, I've gone straight for quite a clean paint job. I must have been really focused that day. And now I want to paint the gloves grey. I knew that I was going to come back and hit this with a mixture of like a purple and a grey to make it look like a purple leather, but I just thought, hit it all with a grey, get the gun, get the shoes, get the chain, hopefully it'll all work. And it does, it all works together. I'm trying to reduce the amount of colours I'm using and that I've got on my palette at once. And then I go and instantly spoil that by painting his belt buckle brown and the soles of his shoes brown and the chain, which I didn't intend to paint brown just yet. I was going to stay with silver. Next, the flower. I used the same rainy grey on the face to try and bring a bit of colour to the face before I brighten it up to white, but you'll see that later. And all of these leathery patches on his jacket, I mixed the dark grey and the same purple that the rest of the jacket is, so it would darken down, with the intention of putting some spots of highlights on them later on to make them look shiny and reflective. Yeah, not too bad. There's a couple of patches there that needed an extra lick of paint, but hey, I'm not complaining. Back to the grey, and let's just stick it in his eyes. He's looking pretty creepy about now. And let's give him a nice big old smile. I don't think you can really appreciate from looking at this on the big screen how small this model really is. And the details are so crazy shallow. This is just me showing the rainy grey on his face, and there's my thumb for reference. I know he's not the smallest model, but the details are so shallow, and there's a lot of details. Like, that hair is beautifully sculpted. Talking of the hair, that's the first highlights. And here are his eyes. I will confess, this wasn't the first attempt. I did many tries at his eyes. I tried lots of different techniques. My usual technique of painting it an off-white and doing a slit down the middle did not work at all and was a nightmare. So I ended up painting it dark and then putting a dot in the corner. At the moment what I'm doing is just giving him a bit of shadow under his chin to sell the lighting effects. Now you remember earlier when I painted the chest yellow? I'm basically using that same thickness of paint now, just as like an ink, to darken down that yellow so I can bring it back up later. It gives it a bit of a reddy shadow, which is very, it's a nice contrast with that purple. I like it. And now you see, well, you would see if it was in focus, there you go, bringing that yellow back up. So when I'm showing two colours on the screen, that's pretty much a 50-50 mix, as close as I can get it. So this is the standard yellow that I used for his chest to start with, and then like a tan yellow to bring it up. Bring that bit of contrast in there. Nice bit of grey. And my favourite to bring up the next level is this Arctic blue. It's a beautiful colour, it always comes out nice. And I just did the buttons there just to sell that little bit of depth. Oh, and his bow tie, look, there you go. I forgot to do that earlier with the same green that I did the highlights on his hair with. Again, this is a lovely colour. And I used this to brighten up the petals on the dying flower. I didn't want to do it bright white because it's meant to be dying. And again, I've gone and hit the corners just to show a bit of light coming onto it. As promised earlier, I'm attempting to do a leathery purple colour for the gloves. So as you can see, I just hit them. I think it was quite watered down as well. So don't go crazy with it. So I was doing some highlights, trying to make the gun look like a prop gun, like it's semi 2D. I really wanted it to jar with the rest of the model. I'm not sure whether it sells it particularly well, but that's what I was aiming for. And now you can see that I've brightened up them gloves again, just to give it a bit more of a highlight, trying to sell some reflections to show that shiny, leathery surface. And again, I forgot to do the cuffs, that same leathery thing. It was only when I started looking at the reference photos properly on his back that I noticed that I'd missed them cuffs. And now I brighten up the chain and the belt buckle. I didn't want it to look too gold and I didn't want it to blend in with the shirt, so I kind of stayed with a bit of a muted colour until I hit it with the birch, which was meant to give it those pings of light as it hits each chain link. I did the same thing with the shoes as I did with the gloves. I weren't going to originally, but I just thought adding that little bit of purple, it just sells it. And you could see it as a reflection of the purple suit in like a very highly polished black shoe. My favourite part of all painting, where I have the biggest potential to cock up, is this black lining. So you can see I did it under the chain to add a bit of definition there. All of the leathery bits, I did black lining around them. Some other key parts where the trousers and the jacket meet, just to give them a bit of a shadow. And after that, I went back and cleaned up all the mess that I'd made with that same purple that I used for the jacket. As you can see, there's some little bits of highlights and differences going on there. About a 50-50 mix, and you've got a highlight there. So I wanted his raised leg, the side of his leg, as you can see, they're just a little bit brighter at the top of his back, the coattails, some of the creases. I didn't want to go crazy and make him look too cartoony, because I still wanted him to look like he was part of the video game world. And I've done it again, 50-50 mix, gone for brighter highlights, and you can really see, especially on his knee patch, where I've gone crooks of the elbows, top of his shoulder, where I would think the light would be hitting. There you go, like top of his back, and I've also highlighted the leathery bits so they really pop. And it's so easy to do. All you have to do is put a little bit of paint on your brush, wipe most of it off, and it's practically a dry brush. Just run it down those edges and it just straight away pops and looks so much better than it has any reason to look. Yeah, I'm quite happy now. He's stuck to his base. The way that he's stuck to the base was frustrating. I painted the base separately and I didn't show up painting it on camera because it was just throwing colours down. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and when I did too much brick and brown and red colours, it didn't work with the rest of the model, so I added some purples. Ray very kindly sculpted those bricks over the connecting points. It gives it a bit more of an anchor point, so it hopefully won't break off. But it showed up still, so I painted it the same colour as the rest of the base, and then I inked over it with black and made like a shadowy look, like he was casting a shadow, should I say. I noticed that I'd missed the, whatever those things are on his shoes, the fabricy, covery things, so I decided to highlight them as well. And this is the model. I'm really pleased with how he turned out. He is almost exactly where I wanted him to be. I love that face. I think it just looks great. And using that rainy grey and then building up the white, it makes the white look chalky like it is face paint. And I'm really happy with the leather effects. I'm definitely going to try and push that in future. Even that shadow looks good, disguising how he's attached to the base. So yeah, this model's from knightmodels, and it's the Arkham Asylum Villains pack. There's Scarecrow, there's Harleyquinn. Obviously I wanted to paint the Joker for my video. He's just got such a great personality in this sculpt. The details are very shallow, so I would be careful. Do not use thick paints on him. It will not work for you. Especially those buttons and some of the creases, his face. I did feel like I was fighting the model a little bit at times to try and keep the details, but I have every faith in you. I believe in you. You can do it. If I can do it, I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. And so, with all that said, thank you for your time. I wish you a good day and many more besides. Yours, forever in horror, 226.